All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and do the more advanced puzzle part making in Inventor. I have already shown a video where you can make a simple single sketch and a single extrusion. And for this video, I'm going to show you how to do a more complex part that's going to require multiple sketches and multiple extrusions in Inventor. Now, as a reminder, let's bring this up quick. These are the only measurements that you should be using to create any of your puzzle parts. So 0.75 inches, 1.5 inches, which is double that, double 0.75, and 2.25, which is triple the 0.75 value. Those are the only numbers that you should be typing in for creation of your 5 puzzle parts. So keep that in mind as you go through the process. So we're going to go into Inventor, and this is the newer version here, 2026, and we're just going to click New, and that's going to bring up this window here, and within this window we're going to select standard.ipt. I'm just going to double click it, but you could click on it and then also click create, but I'm going to double click it, and we'll wait because it has to load the actual drawing portion of the program. So here we have our blank screen, and what we're going to do is we're going to have to pick a sketch plane to start our sketch in. So I'm going to click the green plus 2D sketch here, and it gives us 3 options, just like the older program did. So it gives us an XZ plane, it gives us the XY plane, and it gives us a YZ plane. So there are 3 planes or 3-dimensional areas in which you can start drawing. As always, I'm going to pick my XY plane for this particular part. There are reasons why you might use YZ or XZ, but for most of the stuff that you're going to draw in class, the XY plane works as a good starting point for your sketch. So I'm going to click that, and as you can see, I now have my main vertical line, my main horizontal line, and of course the origin, which is this little yellow, and changes to green as you move the mouse over it, that little dot right there. And I'm going to draw my green part from my puzzle, or a variant of it, I should say. And so in order to start that, we're going to use the line command here. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to click on the origin of, which is essentially the start of the sketch. And I'm going to draw a portion of my green part. My green part, in order to create it, it actually needs 2 sketches and 2 extrusions. And you may need to do that for some of yours as well. Maybe even up to 3 sketches and 3 extrusions. But this part is just going to be 2 of each. So I'm going to start by clicking on the origin, point the mouse straight up. So don't angle the mouse, but point it straight up. And we're actually going to go up 2.25. So that is one of the measurements that we're allowed to use. And it makes the line much larger than my screen can fit. So I'm going to use the roller or the wheel on the mouse. I'm just going to roll it until I can see the whole line. And now I can see the whole line. I'm going to hold the wheel down, holding it. And you can see a little hand pops up, and I'm going to hold and drag to the middle. Then I'm actually going to move the wheel in the other direction and adjust it with the hand until I get a little closer to where I want it. There we go. So now I'm going to point my mouse directly to the right. All right, so again, make sure it's exactly straight ahead. And I'm going to go 1.5 inches here. Okay, that's one of our allowable dimensions. Down 0.75. Over 0.75. Down 1.5. Again, all these measurements are allowed. And then I'm just going to connect it over here. Now, if you bring the mouse over to the origin again, it should be 0.75. So you can see at the bottom there that my mouse and measurement is indicating 0.75. Perfect. So I'm going to click that and finish the sketch. Then I'm just going to escape out for a second. And I'm just going to move these dimensions. You do not have to move your dimensions. I'm just moving mine so that you can see the shape, which is outlined in white. Okay, and as I hover over those white lines, they turn into a bright green. But you can see that's our shape, kind of an upside down L, an L shape. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to right click on the mouse and say finish the 2D sketch. So right click, finish 2D sketch. And of course that repositions my sketch. So I'm going to use the wheel again and zoom out. Oh, I zoomed in. So we're going to zoom out. I'm going to use it, press and hold the wheel and just move that into position where I can see it fully. So there's my upside down L. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to now extrude this sketch. So I'm going to click that button, and as you can see, it generates an extrusion or a 3D model from the 2D sketch. Now the problem is the extrusion is too far. Remember, my distances are 0.75, 1.5, or 2.25. So 1 is not allowed. So I'm going to make this 0.75. So it actually brings that back a little bit. And you can see this is what my shape is going to look like. So that's good. So I'm going to say OK to that. And I have part of my green piece made now. Now it's not done. There's more to this that I need to add. So we're going to do what's called additive modeling. And in that case, I'm going to need to make a second sketch on this shape. And I'm going to make that second sketch on this face of this shape. All right, so it turns green, saying that I'm on that particular face. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to move off to the side here, right click, excuse me, new sketch, and I'm going to pick that face. All right, so right click, new sketch, click that face. It's now going to reposition my shape so that I can draw my 2D sketch. Now what's interesting about this is that in this case, I may not want to use my origin, which is here, as the starting point. And you're going to see why that is the case. I'm going to go to my line, and I'm actually going to start here. So you can see the mouse, it does snap to that corner. So it's got a little bit of a yellow dot in the middle, but as I move the mouse closer, it turns to a bigger green dot. I'm going to start my sketch here, and I'm going to draw up 0.75. Okay, I'm going to draw all the way to the left. So make sure your mouse is going straight horizontal, 1.5. I'm going to draw down. Ooh, wait a minute. Okay, a little bit of a hiccup here. All right, so I'm going to undo that. And that's a good thing to actually know how to do. I'm not sure why it went straight down like that. So use the undo button. And that brings us back to just this line being created. Let me try this again. We're going to draw our line here. I want it to go straight across. Let's see what happens here. 1.5. Okay, that worked this time. I may have put in an angle, but we'll have to see what happened there. 1.5 across, down 0.75. So point the mouse down 0.75. And then I'm going to just connect it back over to this corner right over here, which is 1.5 inches. Now again, escape out. That's escaping out of the line command. I'm just going to move these dimensions so you can see. You don't have to do that. And what I'm going to do before I finish the sketch, I actually want to just show you what I just drew, because it's really not easy to see. But now if we change it, you can see I drew a sketch. Here it is, these 4 lines, on the face of my L shape, my upside down L. If I finish the sketch, so let's right click finish, that's what it looks like. So I have in fact made a second sketch. Now I'm going to show you how you can see all that stuff in a minute here. We need to actually extrude this rectangle that I just drew. And you can also see, I'll point this out as well, there are some yellow lines here. Those yellow lines are just, we're going to call those for now, just references. So the computer is using those edges of the L that exist as references for establishing this sketch on top of the face of the L, right? So don't worry if you have a little bit of yellow in there. That is totally normal for the computer to do that. All right, let's go ahead and extrude this second sketch. And again, we want to double check to make sure our distance is, in this case, 0.75. It is, so I'm going to OK that. And now you can see that this has become one big piece. So it's not just the L anymore. I added this prism or rectangular part to my L. So when we go to look at what have we done, you look over here on this side. This is essentially a little window called the model window. And in here, we can see that we have made two extrusions. And actually, as you hover over them with the mouse, you can see it is indicating which is which. So that's my L-shape extrusion, and that's my rectangular extrusion. If we hit the little plus on these, it also shows us the basis or the foundation for the extrusion, which is the sketch. So you can see that hovering over that will show you that this sketch made this extrusion, and this sketch, which I made after, made this extrusion. So that is very helpful because it shows us what we have done. And in fact, if we needed to, which you shouldn't, but if you needed to, you could edit these sketches. And once you have edited those sketches, that will then actually update your extrusions as well. So it's a pretty cool program because if you edit the foundational work, these two sketches here, it will update everything as long as it's all saved in the same folder. And that's another piece of this. So anyway, that's what this model window is for. Do not close it. If you do manage to do that, there are ways of actually bringing it back. I just don't remember exactly how to do that. But there is a way up here in which you could actually bring back those particular windows. I think there's probably, I think it's View, User Interface, and yes, you can see right here, Model Browser. So if I uncheck that momentarily, it's gone. And I can, if I do accidentally close it, no worries. I'll just go to View, User Interface, and check the box, and it's back, okay? And it does have specific things that need to be in place for you to successfully run the program. All right, we need to put some color on this thing. I did tell everybody that it was my green part, so I'm going to go to this drop-down window, which is default, and we're going to find a color that I think is appropriate for the green piece. Oh, that looks good, dark green. I see that right there, so I think I'm going to go with that. Yeah, that looks quite nice. Let me just see, is there any other options that I might like to experience here? And as I scroll down through here, we do have smooth dark forest green too. Anything else? No. Let's just see what smooth dark forest green looks like. Oh no, that's ugly. Okay, I don't like that. You might like that. It's a little more pastel. Let's go back up to that other green color. And nope, that's not it. Where is it? Nope, that's not it either. There it is, dark green. So I'm going to go with that for this particular puzzle part. And of course, then you would go through the process of saving your parts. So this is an instructional video on specifically how to make a more complex part that requires more than one sketch and more than one extrusion. So hopefully this helps guide you in your process of creating your 5 puzzle pieces.